So I wanted to talk to you about a really simple crumble. I will put pretty much any fruit in crumble, and it's a recipe I use up. Usually it's something I do to use up fruit that's past its best and probably won't get eaten. Mainly apples. We always tend to have apples in the house, so there's normally some apple there to bulk it out. But peaches, apricots, raspberries, strawberries, as long as it's still okay. But sometimes, for instance, this peach, there's no way the kids will eat it. It feels a little bit too soft and it just won't get eaten. So rather than see it go to waste, you can add it to a crumble and it's absolutely delicious. So minimises a bit of waste. I've got some ingredients written down for what I normally use. I like to add oats as well as plain flour to the crumble. I know you can add the oats as a topping, but I just find it easier to just mix them all in as you're doing it. The least steps, the better. So I'm just going to grab my oats. I tend to buy, rather than buying any fancy ones, I'll buy the cheapest I can in the supermarket. There may be a difference, I don't know it. I've sat and looked at the packets and compared the super cheap brand of oats and a brand of oats, and to me they look the same. And if looking at it it's identical, I don't really know. Anyway, I could be wrong, but I just choose the cheapest ones there is. The only thing with the cheapest ones, the packaging is a bit, it's not as nice, and once you've opened it, so I just get a Ziploc bag and I fill it up with oats. Rather than keep reusing plastic bags, rather than wasting plastic Ziploc bags, I just top it up when I buy more oats. So I get quite a lot of use out of it and it doesn't feel wasteful. Okay, so we'll get our ingredients ready. I'm using, the recipe calls for 145 grams of plain flour. So the recipe calls for 170 grams of plain flour, but I'm going to shove my oats in as I go along. So I'm going to do 145 of plain flour and 30 grams of oats. But just kind of eyeball it. So if the total is 170 grams of plain flour, then do kind of the mix that you would rather. If you want it really oaty, then put some more oats in and less plain flour. Do what works for you. I find that 140, 145 of plain flour and then 30 to 35 grams of oats is enough to give it a little bit more texture. I do the same with the caster sugar. So the recipe says 110 grams of caster sugar. I quite like using brown sugar there as well because I feel like it gives you a nice flavour. So I'll do a little bit caster sugar, a little bit brown sugar. Again, to mix it up and just make it a bit different. Because crumble is quite a standard recipe, right? And then 110 grams of butter. I do prefer real butter. We get through packets every week, but I just prefer the flavour. I personally don't think there's any harm in real butter, but each to their own, and if you prefer to use marge, spread, whatever works for you, right? So, let's get ready. Just need to grab my brown sugar. Doesn't like being organised, eh? Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my crumble ready and I'll just set it aside and then I'll prepare my fruit. So, I've got my scales, I've got a bowl. I'm going to set it to grams, set it to 0. That'll do, I can just about see them. So 145 grams of plain flour. I want to my super massive spoon, but it's in the wash. So I can't. This will take a while. Ooh, nearly right. Not quite, eh? $144. That'll do. So if I go slightly over with my oats, that's fine. I'm going for 30 grams of oats, possibly 31, who knows? That handful should be 25 grams, we'll see. Ooh. Bit less than a handful, a bit more than a handful. There we go. So yeah, that's 31 grams, perfect. And then I want 110 of caster sugar. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to 0 it off. I'm going to put about 80 grams of caster sugar, and then I'm going to top the rest up with brown sugar. So I'm going to grab another spoon rather than get floury sugar. 93, that's fine. That is actually a little bit, it's fine, it's fine. It will be fine. So it'll be a bit more caster sugary than brown sugary, but that's fine. It's not an exact science with crumble, unfortunately. Rest of baking kind of needs more of an exact science. Crumble, it's okay. I do like recipes that you can kind of eyeball and just go for what feels right to you, and if you fancy putting a little bit more of something, it doesn't have a massive effect. I enjoy that about a recipe. But yeah, that's my bit. Right, okay, now I need to weigh off my butter. I don't want to put it straight in because if it's slightly off, then I end up too much butter. That you kind of do need to get pretty right. So I'm just going to get a little kiddie bowl from IKEA, pop that on the scales, zero them off a bit, get my butter, see if I can get it right first time. Probably not. So how many grams this is? 98, 97. Oh, so close. I think that's going to be too much, so let's do that. 111, that'll do. That'll do. Now it says cold butter, however, it's still quite firm, so I'm just going to pop it on the microwave for like 10 seconds, just so it's easier to work with. Oh, I should get really cold hands. So I'm just going to pop it in. I'm going to just taking the edge off it so it's not super cold. And then pop it in there, in the bowl. Okay, let's rub it together. So what you're doing now is, you might have made crumble before, actually I shouldn't, should I? But you rub it together till you get kind of the consistency of breadcrumbs. It becomes a bit sticky, and then we'll see how we go. So at the minute it's super sticky. Got all the butter stuck in my hand, delightful. So what works well, that I haven't done, but I could have done, this is what you could have done, is getting either a spoon or just like a butter knife and just starting to mix it up, just so that you don't get a load of butter stuck to your hand. It's not what I did. It's fine. We're all learning, eh? We're all learning. It doesn't have to be perfect. The result will still be the same. I'm pretty sure tomorrow, we're having it tomorrow for tea. Well, not for tea, that'll be a good tea. For pudding with our tea. I'm pretty sure no one's going to go, oh, you can tell you don't fold it in with a knife first. We'll be happy to have crumble with fruit that probably would have got wasted. That's better. And it's coming together lovely. Doesn't matter that it's a bit messy to start off with. Nearly there. Definitely need to wash my hands after this. And then I'll prepare the fruit. So this is the kind of breadcrumby consistency that we've got here. Lovely. So I'll just pop that to the side because it's done. Go wash my hands again. Here's the fun part with the fruit. So I'm going to set my kettle to boil quickly. The reason being, I've discovered that peaches and apricots and plums are very similar to tomatoes. Now the reason I mean they're similar is that you can put them in boiling hot water and the skin kind of just peels off. It's really, really easy that way, and this is all about trying to use up fruit, so I don't want to sit there peeling it with a knife and lose half the fruit, especially because it is softer, it'll come apart quite easily. So I want to use it as much as possible, so sticking it in a bowl of hot water helps the skin come off really easily. So I'll do that. And then I'm going to set it, chop up the rest of the fruit. So in this instance actually it's mainly apple and one peach. So we didn't do too bad with using up fruit. I'm going to chop up the rest of the fruit and put it in with a very little bit of water and a tiny bit of sugar just to break down the acidity of the apple. That's my personal preference. And a little bit of cinnamon because I love cinnamon. Okay. So we've got that boiled. I'm going to pop it in a bowl with the peach and let the skin come off it. I'll just leave that there for a bit while I'm sorting out the apples. I don't think I'll need to reboil the kettle to boil the rest because it doesn't really take that much water, and I find that you get kind of like a nice syrupy goodness, so I kind of hope that I won't have to pour any out, so any little gloopy bit that's left can just kind of go in the bottom of the tray as a very, very light syrup / possibly caramel, depending on how much sugar I put in, depending on how much it's toasted. Right, so I've got my bowl ready, got my chopping board, might want something to peel the apples. Potatoes, slice. We'll see what works better. Right, go with this one. So I want to try and peel them as close to the skin as possible. I don't want to waste any of it. So again, this apple is definitely got a bit wrinkly, but it's still good and it's still perfectly fine to put in a crumble. What's that? One apple. When you were little, when I was at school, I remember they used to spin the top of the apple with this, and you'd go through the alphabet, and then whenever it came off, that was the initial of the person you were going to marry. Don't know if anyone else did that. Isn't it funny how memories can just pop into your head? I don't think I've remembered that for God, how many years? I must have been like 7, if that. But just then, it's put that memory. Funny how the human mind works. You can really tell the apples that are overripe, besides the ones that are not quite there. The ones that are overripe are so easy to peel. It's because they want to go in my crumble. I can tell. My husband's probably not going to enjoy editing this bit because he always shows great concern with how I chop things. It's like, oh my God, you're going to cut yourself. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. Probably won't, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. Now, if you've got fruit that needs using up, if you haven't quite got enough for a crumble, you've got a few options. You can either try and, if you've got a little tray that you could put in the oven, just make a really little one, or I tend to buy in, you know, the tins of apple pie filling or crumble or pie filling. I try to just have a couple of them in, so if I come to do this and I realise I'm actually a little bit short on fruit, I can top it up with one of those. Then at least I'm not wasting any of the fruit that could have been used, and I've still got a sizable pudding. So obviously I'd much rather use what I've got, use the fresh fruit. Although I don't know, when you've stewed it and added sugar, how much of the benefits are really there. But if you're a bit short, that's the way I get around it. I add just to top it with a tin. Good, we'll have plenty of fruit here. So it's just going to be an apple and peach crumble, but honestly it would be no different if there was any other fruit. So plums, again, I treat the same way as the peach. Apricots I treat the same way. Nectarines I use the same way. They all work. Probably wouldn't have put a banana in a crumble. But other than that, there's not many fruits I can put in. Melon, pineapple, never tried them in a crumble. I'm not saying they wouldn't be good. Just not attempted it, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. There's other things you can do with pineapple instead. Sweet and sour sauce. Pineapple upside down cake. I've never made a pineapple upside down cake. But it's something you could do. Might give that a go. Could do it together. If it's a disaster, it would be a giggle. Or I won't post it. Or it would be a giggle. And if it's not, we can learn something new. Might do that. Let me know in the comments if you'd like me to do that. I'll have a go. Although my husband doesn't like pineapple, so he'll be like, why make a pineapple cake? Might do it anyway. Maybe, if I know someone that does, I could give it as a present. If it's nice, obviously, if it's a disaster, that would just be really harsh. So I won't do that. I'll force feed it my family. Nearly there. And then the magic that is the peach. Might not be magical to you. You may have known that you can peel the peach very easily once it's been in hot water. But it was magic to me. I didn't know until very recently. I just kind of looked at a plum and thought, this does have a similar skin to a tomato. I wonder if the same thing would work. It does. Right, so let's take out the boiling hot water out first, just so I don't burn myself. Safety first, guys, safety first. Do not put your hand in boiling water. So, watch this not work. Watch this not work. There we go. It's not as, it's getting there. It's not as easy as I thought it would be. That's a little bit annoying. Never mind. Here I am. This works so easily. Does it then? Does it? Well, this is embarrassing. What a disappointment. Right, let's get my knife. Get a cut in, see if I can make a start. No, no. What is wrong with you, Peach? Why would you do this to me? Well, I stand corrected. Peaches are not the same as nectarines and plums. When you think about it, the skin is slightly different, isn't it? Well, I still think it was a bit easier than it would have been otherwise. Look at me all sassy pants. Damn it. Right, I'm going to use a little bit of caster sugar. I think flat tablespoon. Just using an actual, just a spoon that you would use at the table. I don't know if an actual tablespoon is slightly different, but I'm just using a flat spoon of this. Just sugar. I don't want to put out loads. Maybe this is loads. And cinnamon. Go grab the cinnamon. So my giant massive tub of cinnamon, I got it from Costco. I'd use it a lot in hot chocolates, baking, possibly not so much in summer, but it's just more cost effective to get a really big tub of cinnamon. So all I'm doing is doing a sprinkle. Now this is completely optional. I personally like apple and cinnamon. I love cinnamon in a crumble, so I'm doing it to taste. So doing about that much. You might think that's a lot, but that's what I am choosing to do. You can put as much or as little as you want, or not at all in yours. So I'm adding a little bit of water. Again, this will depend on the amount of apples you've got and the size of your pan, but I'm probably going for about an inch and a half thick depth. Not thickness. Right, okay. My kettle had already boiled earlier, so not all of the apples are covered, but most of them are. So I'm just going to pop it in the pan until the apples soften. Until the apples soften. Okay, so this is there. You can see these are really soft now. So I'm going to drain a little bit of the excess off, but then I'm still going to leave a little bit of liquid in there and pop it in the tray. But I'll show you that bit in a minute. soft. I've left a little bit of liquid in, and I'm just going to pop it in a baking dish and then top it with the crumble. I'll put the oven on to preheat at 170 fan. I believe it's 190 otherwise, but I'll leave the recipe and how I do it on the description part below. Okay, so I'll just pop it in. Just spread it out over the oven dish. Okay. And then I'm going to pop the crumble topping on top of it. We quite like quite a thick crumble topping. See what we're going to get there. When I've used a bigger dish, I have been known to double up the recipe, which gives you quite a lot of crumble, but it is lovely. Just pop the rest on. Spread it about so it's level, and then when the oven reaches temperature, we'll pop it in between 30 and 35 minutes. What you're looking for is for it to be golden at the top. It does take a little bit of a while to colour, but that's fine. Just wait until it's golden, but again to taste, because if you prefer yours a bit darker, then that's fine too. Right, yeah, I'll pop this in the oven as soon as it reaches temperature. Okay, so 35 minutes have gone past. I'm just going to get the crumble out of the oven. There you go, all done. I hope you enjoy it.
Stand up. Yeah, that doesn't help.